All right. Hi, Dave.
Hey.
You look like you're in deep thought.
That's me. Always thinking.
Let's take you over here. So I was just introducing you. You're the senior experience designer, right, for Adobe Character Animator?
That is correct. That's my official title on paper or the internet sites and all that. But yeah, like a lot of creative people, it's, they call you one thing and then you end up wearing 20 different hats, right? So yeah, I feel like design is a fraction of the things that I do at at Adobe.
That is really interesting, actually. Like, I'm kind of curious about what it is you do there, because I know I see you putting out tutorials and a lot of outreach, like, coming and talking to us today. But what kind of things you do?
Yeah, a variety of things. It's certainly the user interface design and user experience design of Character Animator is a major focus of what I do. But because I also like to draw and animate and make videos and make funny faces and talk in funny voices, that has led to also making tutorials and public speaking engagements and community outreach and all sorts of different things. So I think that's the cool thing, is that any given day is different. And it's kind of one day I'm doing a user test to, check if a feature is working the way we want it to. And the next day I'm, making a robot with a flamethrower arm that, making that into a detective series. It's every day is a little bit different. And that keeps things interesting and exciting, which was, when I first joined Adobe, I thought it was going to be Designer 300 on Photoshop, making the paintbrush icon look just slightly nicer, but luckily it's been, I've gotten a ton of creative freedom, and it feels like a kind of a startup mentality, at least with the Character Animator team, of, being scrappy and small and moving quickly, responding to user stuff quickly, and being able to, but with the financial backing and stability of a major corporation kind of looking over you, and helping out with things, and the market reach that has as well. So very fortunate there.
Yeah, that is really cool. I mean, it sounds like a perfect sort of job. A little bit of everything, which is great, because it is easy, when you enter the workplace, if you're aspiring to be an artist or something, to get locked up and doing one thing over and over again. So that's really cool.
Yep.
So I know a lot about Character Animator, and I know you know a lot about Character Animator, but I'm actually curious about Dave Werner, because I've gone through your Instagram here, and I've seen some interesting photos. In particular, I'm really curious about Dave Werner, the rock star.
Yeah, I mean, basically, in high school, like most people who played some sort of music instrument, you want to get together with your friends in a band. And I was lucky in that I played piano. I was starting to learn how to play guitar, and my brother played the drums. And so I kind of had a built-in, bandmate there, and then got a couple of our other friends to join guitar and bass, and started playing. Our first band was under the name Second Nature. And we, played different small, Janine Mason's 16th birthday party, the Firehouse, like all these, these really small time gigs and things but it was fun. It was an excuse. We made a couple of albums together back in the day. Our first one was a cassette tape, and then our second was a CD player, CD. So that really dates me in terms of when these came out. And then, eventually we, in college, I ended up going to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia, and everyone else went to James Madison University. JMU, just miss UVA, is what we call it. No, just kidding. But between those two, we would play shows, frat parties and different events and charity events and stuff like that. So I would say, the majority of our playing together was really in college, and some of those photos or the video, I think the still that I took was from one of our best shows, which was at this bar, Main Street Bar and Grill in Harrisonburg, Virginia. and it was an epic, amazing performance, and we had a band open for us, and we thought that was so cool, and it was a fun time. But I've since calmed down. Now I'm family man, can't do the rock star things much anymore, but I still, music still plays a big part of my life, and I think honestly I've spoken about this before, but I really think being comfortable on a stage and learning to be okay with looking ridiculous and doing dumb stuff on a stage, if that gets the audience into the songs and more excited about stuff, that I think that's served me well in the Adobe world, is in other endeavors that I've done, is that I like talking. I don't have any stage fright whatsoever anymore. I'm totally fine with going in front of a small crowd or a giant crowd. It's all the same to me. So yeah.
Yeah, that is an excellent skill set. I mean, I personally have a little bit of anxiety about talking in front of people, and it's definitely something I think a lot of people develop over time just by exposure. So put yourself out there. I think a lot of people want to see this video or hear some of this music, though, Dave. Do you have anything or you have to go back to Virginia? I thought I saw that to recover some of the music.
Yeah, if someone digs hard enough, they should be able to find. I think there's still some MP3s and stuff out there. If you search for OK Samurai MP3s, you might find some stuff, some potentially embarrassing stuff. But hey, it's the internet; it's out there. But yeah, no, it's and it's something every once in a while. Like I did that extraneous lyrics in 2019, brought that back. And so I've had plenty of ideas of more things that I want to do with music. Usually now, like combining music with character animator, what are some fun ideas I could do with that? And so I continuing to think about new ways to keep bringing music in. But we've got 2 kids now who are playing piano, taking piano lessons, and I've got guitars hanging on the wall down there, and we still do, play music all the time. I was just yesterday trying to learn how to play a theme from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which my son's been playing, and learning Cass's theme from that on the piano. And so I was looking at these YouTube videos and trying to play it back. So, even though I don't show that stuff publicly, music still is a pretty important part of my life.
That's excellent. So were you going to have the next Partridge Family or the Jackson 5? Is that what we're going for?
I don't know about that. We'll see. We've done some family jam sessions, at least in the comfort of our own home, and it's I don't know if that's ready for public consumption yet, but it's awesome when we can all kind of. My wife plays the piano. My kids love to sing, are taking vocal lessons and piano lessons. We got an electric drum set for Christmas, or one of those drum pad things for Christmas that the kids are playing around with. So we play some songs. Usually it's silly made up songs about, what we had for dinner that night or their stuffed animals or whatever, but it's fun. We have a good time.
That's fantastic. Now, I saw you're also doing a theater work, which I think is really interesting. Mary Poppins, it looks like. I see you playing a part in that. Theater has been, that's something that my kids got into and kind of roped me into. I was seeing how much fun they were having, and then they got my wife to join, and then I think the first role I did was Chef Louis from The Little Mermaid, so I got to sing Les Poissons and chase kids dressed up as crabs and fish around the stage, and it was awesome. It was so much fun to just be crazy on stage, and I'd never taken any acting classes or anything like that. I mean, as I said, I was comfortable being on a stage, but taking on kind of that persona of a new character was different. So I did that, and Willy Wonka and Mr. Banks, and they've all been just really fun things. And I hope once COVID has died down, to get back into it and do some more. So we'll see. Yeah, it's a shame about the whole theater business during this time, and what's going to happen to Broadway. So I'm looking forward to things opening back up as well. Maybe we'll see Dave Werner on Broadway someday.
I don't know about that. Maybe my kids.
Maybe
Dave. We'll see. But I think my calling might be elsewhere. I mean, I enjoy it, but I know I'm honest enough to myself to know that I'm nowhere near the level that would be needed for Broadway. But my kids are starting off pretty well, so we'll see. Actually, my daughter was in a touring show Waitress the musical. So they Waitress, they had the movie, Carrie Russell movie, and now they've done a play, which is a musical, which is fantastic. And when it came to Sacramento, not too far away from us, my daughter got cast as Lulu, which is her daughter, that only shows up for one scene at the very end and has just a few lines. But it was an awesome experience. Like, she got to do a bunch of shows and meet all the actors and things. And it was a really, really, fun experience. So that's been our only brush with Broadway fame. Other than that, it's small time local theater stuff, but it's fun nevertheless. So.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Get them in young. And I mean, that's really great parenting, sort of, building up your kids' interests and supporting them like that. So good job. Yeah. We have people in chat. We got Pet This. I don't know if you've met our friend the dog before in chat, and Cartoon Katie.
And I see the chat here. Yeah, I'm seeing Cartoon Katie. Hey, from Reddit. Your puppet's awesome. Huge fan of tutorials. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks. And yes, Cass is the best. I agree.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, let's see. So you did put out a music video for a song. Now, you wrote that song yourself, right? Is that right?
Which one is this? The extraneous lyrics one?
Extraneous lyrics, yeah. Because I found that really interesting, the lyrics themselves.
Yeah, so that whole idea is, and this is something I did a long time ago, was to take pop songs that have the most simplistic lyrics possible and just make them as complicated as possible. And this is just something I would do. Like, I was looking back actually some old blogger posts I did back in the day, and one of them was make it. There's the Jennifer Lopez song, "Don't Be Fooled by the Rocks That I Got." I'm still Jenny from the block, and I did something like, do not be your perception differentiated by the the jewelry in my possession. I'm still Jennifer from your local neighborhood, or something like that. So it's always just taking simple songs and just making them sound ridiculous and adding more lyrics. And so it's something I just always used to do. And then I started, I did it for several years, just doing acoustic versions of it. And yeah, people responded well to it. So I've done it off and on. There's sometimes, I think after getting married and having kids and full-time job, it's been harder to find the time to do all these little side projects. But I still try to find ways to work it in if I can.
Yeah, it's a struggle for sure with kids and everything and all of these responsibilities. But I think that's fantastic. Personally, when I listen to song lyrics, I tend to think they're a little too simplistic, and that is something that'll drive me away. But I think you're spicing it up out there, making it interesting again. Yes. So your art. Now, I love this style of art that you do. It's something about it. It's so simplistic, yet there's so much nuance and like detail. And I've watched a few of your tutorials. I believe one of them was how to make a background, and you took something from Fallout and did some tracing over it. And it's really remarkable. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about like how you ended up here?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I've always loved to draw, always loved to scribble and doodle while, I should be paying attention in meetings and whatnot. And basically, have always, I think I learned the most from in college. I was the graphics editor for our school newspaper for 3 years, and I did a daily comic strip for that. And then I also did editorial cartoons a couple times a week. And I think being forced to draw on a daily basis is what really helped me, hone in my skills. And so I think, I look at the first comics I did versus the last ones, and it's a night and day difference. It's completely, just more detail. It's just, I had time to explore and force myself to explore and get, my own drawing style. So I think, with digital art, that was a whole new chapter. And then being able to, art with an undo button is a fantastic thing. And so playing around with that, I mean, lately I've been doing a lot with Adobe Fresco. That's kind of my go-to now and on the iPad Pro to doodle and sketch on. And it's just a fun process, and I'm always learning new things, always trying new techniques to, I'll see someone's illustration. Oh, how did they do that? That's amazing. Like maybe I should try to do that, and I'll just experiment and have fun with it. And it's like music to me. It's like sometimes I'll sit down and play the guitar or play piano. Sometimes I'll grab the iPad and start drawing. It's like whenever inspiration strikes, try something new.
Yeah, the iPad. Well, Dave, I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut that part of the video where you said you doodle during meetings, though, because I don't want to get you in trouble.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I guess I'm really curious, like, how did you get to work for Adobe? How did that play out that you ended up with such an awesome job?
Yeah, it was, honestly, it was being in the right place at the right time. I had been out here in the San Francisco Bay Area for a while, worked for a video game startup and a couple of video game startups, and then a kids portfolio site thing, and was kind of looking for what's the next step, what do I want to do, and I just randomly reached out to this guy, John Knack, who did work for Adobe and now has come back, took a little hiatus at Google, but now is back at Adobe. And I just reached out to him, and because he had written about some work that I had done when I was a graduate student and on his blog, and I knew he worked at Adobe. I had not really reached out to him since then, but I said, "Hey, John, thanks for writing that nice stuff about me. Just so you know, I'm looking for a new opportunity. If anything ever opens up at Adobe, please let me know." And it just so happened that, just that week he had been talking about this new project, and they were looking for a designer, and it just worked out. So I met John at a bar in San Carlos in the Bay Area, and met up with him. And it was a really great first meeting, and it worked out. And luckily, I got hired because of that. I think I kind of went outside the system a little bit. Adobe's hiring process can kind of take a long time sometimes, but I was lucky that I think I got kind of an in with John. So since then, John's become a really good friend. He and his wife both work at Adobe, and when we play with their kids, they try to steal my hat and throw it around and fun stuff like that. So it's great. So I think it was right place, right time, but it's also reaching out. We're all connected to so many different people online. Mm-hmm. It's, you never know what one opportunity will lead to another. And, might as well take your shot, right? See what happens and put yourself out there to the world and do the best you can. And so that's the success story there, but I'm sure there's hundreds of other things that I reached out to that haven't worked out or haven't panned out, or projects I've tried that didn't. So, I got lucky for that one time, and have hopefully learned from others, and keep trying. By no means, is every day, 100% perfect. It's, there's still the pains of any job that you can imagine. But overall, I feel like it's hard for me to imagine a better dream job than what I'm doing right now. I don't know what other job lets you, draw robots and monsters and characters all day and make silly voices and videos and get to design and meet really cool people and hopefully help people bring their own creative stories to life. So it's a really, really nice fit, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice also for anybody who's trying to get into any industry, in the art industry, video games, is you really do have to put yourself out there, because a lot of it is just being in the right place at the right time. I mean, that's been my experience as well. So take chances,
And you've got a video game background as well, right?
Yeah, 15 years working on video games. Yeah. So, and that's basically how I did it too. I kept talking to people and networking with people. And really, if it wasn't for that, I don't know that I would have gotten a job as soon as I did. So
yeah. Yep.
Put yourselves out there, kids. So we got probably some Adobe Character Animator fans here. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about, like, I guess the question I was thinking of is, like, what do you imagine Character Animator being in the long run? Like where does it slot in? Is it for mainly commercial work? Are you putting any focus towards streamers and that sort of thing? Like, what is the trajectory here?
Yeah, I would hope that Character Animator is simple enough that a newcomer can use it, but deep enough that a pro can master it. And I think that's kind of been the mantra since we started is, animation traditionally has been seen as very difficult and time consuming, and something that mere mortals can't do. It takes you have to take all these classes and take inordinate amounts of time just to make someone's eyebrows work correctly. And I think with Character Animator, we took approach of, can we make this fun and easy and just something that feels magical? And when Character Animator first came out, this was before a lot of, now I think you see this stuff a little bit more with, emojis and things like that. But back in the day when Character Animator first came out, it was kind of, whoa, like you can actually do this. This is crazy. And the idea was, just let anyone step in front of a screen and just start talking and acting naturally and have that translate into an animated performance. And so I think we've tried to continue with that and making that as fun as possible. So with like the triggers, for example, for a character, to make my guy do these eyes or, this stuff, like these are fun little buttons that you can press. And that was a thought of making that experience as fun as possible and not something you have to, keyframe or dig into, this artwork swap or whatever, this complicated rigging system. Is just make it as easy as possible. But then at the same time, make it deep enough that, professional animators who want to save time and move quickly are able to take their traditional skills and frame by frame skills and also implement that into a live performance. And so, either live performance or what we call quick turn animation, where you can really quickly, once you have a character rigged, really quickly turn around animation. And so I think we've seen that with our cartoon president tuning out the news, that sort of stuff out there as well. And definitely the Disneys and Nickelodeons of the world have used Character Animator for, Instagram posts or little TV or YouTube things they're doing. And it's been really cool to see that. So I think that's going to be continuing our approach for the future. I think you're not going to see a character animator that only caters to newcomers or only caters to professionals. I think we will always try to strive for that balance in between. And that's a tricky tightrope to walk for sure. But I think that's the challenge is worth it. And so I hope we continue, working on that. Now there's a lot of incredible stuff that's happening behind the scenes that I can't really talk about yet. I think about some of it, Ryan, but it's it's a very bright future ahead for Character Animator. And if you think what you're seeing right now is cool, you haven't seen anything yet. So get ready.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. And I do get to see some of that stuff, and I keep my mouth shut. Ask anybody. I'm quiet. Okay. But it hurts. It hurts to stay quiet about it because you're all doing amazing stuff over there, and I look forward to it. So, like, what are some other, can you rattle off a few other projects that have used Character Animator? Because I kind of look at animation out there and I often wonder and then start to think, yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Like, I'll just take an example that I saw this week. There's the channel Ryan's World on YouTube. The kid who is he's got 29 million subscribers. He's been using Character Animator recently for a lot of stuff. So there's a character that I put in the community spotlight this past last week called Combo Panda, where it's this panda bear that plays video games, and they just edited it down for kids, and it's great, and it uses Character Animator for the character, and then they've started to, in the main channel, also have some of their characters. They have all these characters that they've animated and put into, for these quick turn videos. And they're, pumping out gazillion videos a week. And so I think trying to do that with a traditional animation pipeline would be really, really tough for them. But they're able to, make these really expressive characters and have them, converse with everybody and put them in these interesting situations. And it's really, really well done. So I think, that's just an example. I saw this other one, this dog Lucky, who's on TikTok, and he's like I think he'll do duets or these things with talk back and forth with other TikTok users, and but from the perspective of a dog, and he's got like 117K subscribers. So I feel like every week we see so many, like, any given week, we have a channel on our internal Slack called User Creations, and people just post things that are cool when they see them. And that's usually what I go through when I'm putting these community spotlight videos together, is what are people posting that looks cool? And that could come from anywhere. And so, someone random will say, oh, I saw this really cool video of, someone doing this with Character Animator, or is this Character Animator? Let's look into it a little more. And usually we can tell, we're well-versed in the software enough that we can tell if it's Character Animator or not. If they do something about it, no, there's no way that could be Character Animator. And then sometimes they surprise us, and yeah, it is Character Animator. And I think that's great that the line is becoming a little bit blurrier. Like right now, if I saw this character, I can obviously tell that my character is Character Animator, because that this mouse set is everywhere. And this is the mouse set that Saturday Night Live used when they had Character Animator on it too. Yeah. So the Dave mouths, as we call them, are in like so many different puppets. I'm working on a new mouth that should hopefully come out in the fall, that will have some a new take on this. So hopefully this isn't the only one you see, but that's usually the most number one dead giveaway if they have that, or if we can tell it's based off a template or something like that. But yeah.
I saw some Star Trek cartoon, and we were debating here on the channel whether or not that was using Character Animator. Maybe, do you know anything about that one?
Is that the Star Meh thing that Dana Berman did?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So he did use Character Animator for the characters, and then the compositing and other things he used After Effects and Blender, I think, and a few other tools. That guy is really, really talented, and he's done some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, but the character animation, as I understand it, was primarily done with Character Animator.
Yeah, Teach Wonderful. I talk about the Dave Werner mouth all the time because I see it everywhere. And I've been encouraging people to draw their own, and certainly I've used that as inspiration. And I think there was just one thing you said in one of the videos, which was like, you went back and redesigned your mouths because you had the upper teeth moving, and
right.
and really physiologically your upper teeth never move. They're attached to your skull. It's just your jaw. And it's little things like that make a huge difference.
And that's the thing too, is I've learned so much on this job. Before coming into this, I didn't know the first thing about lip sync. And this mouse set, like we got feedback from animators at Nickelodeon to tell us what was working and what wasn't working. So it was awesome, like being able to kind of pick into their brains and get like an animation lip sync crash course in how these things work. And since then, I've been looking at anytime like someone new makes a puppet for us. We had some new free puppets that we added recently, Sam and Alex. They were done by Renegade Animation Studios in LA. And the new mouse set that I'm making is based more off of them, because of, just their incredible talent, and, they're pros at this. And I really like, they have really nice big mouths that have a lot of personality to them. And so I'm constantly amazed by, lip sync. I agree. It's one of those things that you don't realize it's wrong until someone shows you, like your top teeth are flapping all over the place, and it looks bad, but you can't tell why it looks bad. And now I know why, but I still am learning a little bit more every day. So
yeah, we struggle with that sometimes here when you're dealing with sort of fantastic things. And I've seen animations where they morph those top teeth as well, but it's so intentional that it makes sense in those cases. And I think there's this really crazy fine art of it in there somewhere. But okay, so here's the big one. So VTubers, have you seen this? Have you seen this going around? This hashtag?
I've seen much stuff about VTubers. Is there something recent that's happened with them? What's going on?
No, I'm just kind of curious. Like, it's becoming really big, and I'm kind of curious what you think about people moving into this virtual space and using avatars for creating content and for live streaming, and what sort of the character animators' stance on that is, our team's stance on that is, and are you planning anything to facilitate that?
Yeah, I think I think it's a great idea. I think I like the cool thing about an animated character is you can do whatever you want. And so you can be whatever you want. And I think there are plenty of people who, don't want to be in front of a camera, or they want to take on the persona of an animated character, like our friends Scribbly or Castlehead, or, some of those other people. Mm-hmm. And then, you also, kids, for example, using it and putting videos online and not wanting to put their face online. I think there's a lot of use cases for wanting to be an animated character. And then also you can, have your character do whatever you want. If I want my guy's head to explode and turn to a zombie, or have a dragon come out of his nose, I can do that. And it would take a little bit of time to figure out exactly how to draw that and add that in, but it's possible. And so I think kind of the limitless possibilities of an animated character make things really interesting. And this is so new, right? Like we haven't had the ability to do this until a few years ago. So I think we're really seeing a pioneering stage of this sort of thing. So what we call VTubing right now, I think it's not going away. Like people making animated versions of themselves. I mean, you've seen the dark way this could go of the Waldo episode of Black Mirror, animated character running for office. I don't know if we'll go that far, and I wouldn't say Adobe condones that sort of behavior, but I would say that I think you will continue to see this play more and more into, why not have an animated game show host? Why not have animated, news segment? Why not have I think we are just scratching the surface of what's possible. And as the technology gets better and it becomes easier to do this stuff, we'll hopefully Character Animator will be right there along the way. So yeah, I think right now, I mean, you and I, Ryan, were talking before the show how difficult it is to, currently stream. You really have to jump through a lot of hoops to get things set up right now. And I hope that in the future, we can at least play a part in making that a little bit easier for people who want to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a human being sitting in front of more buttons than I could count just to make this show happen. And it looks simple enough when it is all put together, but it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think about like virtual reality though? That's becoming a thing too. Like there's virtual avatars inside the VR space. Is that something that is Adobe looking at that and thinking about 3D or even putting 2D in there somehow?
Yeah, so we've seen some early experiments with this sort of thing. With NDI, a plugin that works with Character Animator, you can bring things into the Unreal Engine, and that's something we saw Nickelodeon do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Rise of the Turtles, or whatever it's called. And they did a Comic-Con event where people put on I think it was a Vive headset, and they were beamed into this, Unreal Engine world, but the characters were, Michelangelo, I think, and Donatello were standing in front of them as 2D characters on the rooftops of Manhattan. And the actual voice actors from the cartoons were doing the performance for those characters. And they had all sorts of trigger buttons and things that other people were helping out with, the Nickelodeon animators were helping out with. But it led to an awesome experience where people feel like they're really talking to the turtles, right? And they're in there and, hey, Mikey, you got any pizza? And having these back and forth with these actual animated characters. And such a cool experience. So yeah, I think in the future, it's not too hard to believe a virtual future, in the realm of a Ready Player One or Snow Crash or something like that, where we are represented by animated characters. And I think, I don't know what Adobe's official stance is on that, but I know from the Character Animator team, we love that idea. And we hope that, they, again, coming at from a, ease of use thing, I think, in general, 3D tools can be very, very complicated to pick up. And I think that's a reason we've started with the 2D spaces. It's much easier to just draw something out and get a character going in the 2D space instead of 3D. But I think there's also things we can continue to work on in the future to make kind of more of a 2.5D version of a character, where you've got things like parallax and dimension and shadows and highlights and stuff that you might be able to do down the line. So I'm not saying any of that is set in stone, but these are the type of topics we talk about is are there ways to make these things more accessible to people and easier to people? And so we'll see. But I'm excited about that kind of future. I think there's a lot of potential there. Yeah,
as someone who's done 3D for 15 years, it is exponentially more difficult. And
Yeah.
I got, this is my relaxing time when I get to come here and just work with Character Animator and 2D stuff. So
There you go.
yeah, it's good. Gosh, I had something else great just a second ago and then I lost it. That's how it goes. What about
No worries.
everybody out there in chat? If you have any questions, throw them out there too. And I did want to mention we have a lot of people here who are also using Character Animator for streaming and doing different things with that. So you should probably follow each other and see what everybody is doing. That'd be really good. Oh, was that Greg Sipes that played Michelangelo? Do you know?
Oh, no, because I think it's the new this new reboot that they did. And so I forget who was doing Mikey. It was there's an actor from Silicon Valley who I'm forgetting his name is one of them. And then another one. So yeah, it's in a behind the scenes video that that Nickelodeon posted, but I don't remember their names.
Okay, I'll have to go check that one out. I was just curious because he's like a huge fan of Character Animator too, and we've worked together a little bit just to make silly things. And
oh, nice.
I was kind of curious, if that was him or not. Yeah, he's a funny guy. Yeah. Well, geez. Does anybody else out there have any questions that Dave can actually answer? Because we can't talk about the secret stuff.
I see the Teach Wonderful and Pet This talking about using Character Animator for their productions, and yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's great to see. I love that. I love hearing about people who didn't feel like they could animate or didn't feel like their projects were possible until they saw a tool like Character Animator, and then that's been kind of the thing to help jumpstart these creative projects, and that's awesome. I that's one of the most fulfilling parts of my job is to see what we actually make and see what people make out of it and know that wouldn't be possible otherwise. So that's always really fulfilling.
It's honestly the only reason I'm here. I wanted to make an animated short and realized that to do it in 3D the way I intended or to hand draw those mouths was going to be terrible. And I opened up the Adobe Suite and I'm like, what is Character Animator? And here I am 2 years later. So, yeah.
Yep.
Any quadruped features from Pet This, who is a cartoon dog on Twitch and Facebook?
Yeah, that's been a huge request, I think, in our there's a user voice thing we have where people can vote on new requests, and I think that's one that's at the top. I think that and being able to track full body motion tracking are two of the most highly requested things I always see. And so I think that's something, when with the walk behavior right now, it was really based off of a biped model. And I think we've certainly seen that the characters people want to create are not just that, is they want 20-legged characters and they want dogs and worms and birds and like all sorts of different things that are possible. So I think, we definitely hear that request, and we've started looking into what's possible there. I don't have anything to announce right now, but I think that's certainly something that all characters should be able to walk, right? And so we don't want to just restrict that to our two-legged friends. So,
that's right.
Yeah. So hopefully one day.
Yeah, well, I've seen some creative solutions and people managing some decent quadruped walk cycles despite the limitations. So
right,
it's pretty awesome to see what everybody imagines out there. Yeah. Teach Wonderful's wondering how many people you have working at the Character Animator team.
Yeah, so it's hard to say for sure. I mean, if I had to say an exact number, because we have there's a lot of people who work with us. So we have a marketing, division of Adobe Video and Animation who we work with. We have researchers who are the ones that research all the kind of the dark magic behind a lot of these features, and then eventually, they find their way into the product. There's all sorts of different things, but I'd say the core team, it's probably about 12 people. We are a very small team, and I know that's like, you think like, wow, that's crazy. Like a product, like, a product that reaches gazillion people out there is made only by 12 people. But yeah, that's kind of how it is. And, the primary developers and QE and all of that stuff, it's a pretty small team. So yeah, I'm the I'm the designer on the team, and so what I say goes, and for better for worse. So if there's stuff you like about the UI, that's me. But if there's stuff you hate about the UI, that's also me. So it's a challenge, but it's fun. It's been a welcome challenge because I do enjoy. I'm user number one, right? Like a lot of time I'm making the product that I want to use as well. So it's not like I'm disconnected and, I don't like any of this stuff we're doing or animation. When I ask for features and am trying to design things, I think, okay, what would I really want? What's the level of control that I want or that I would need, and try to use that. And that's the great thing about UI or, user experience design, is that you can, you just take your best guess. At the end of the day, it's me taking my best guess, and then I user test it and see if people agree or not. And then we keep kind of iterating until we feel like we've got something pretty good. So I am wrong a lot of the time, and I'm okay with that. That's part of the creative and design process for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to take chances and do what you think is right. And to everyone out there who's using Character Animator, if you love the software and you want to make it better, there are so many ways you can contribute. Like Dave was just mentioning, you can provide feedback constantly, and I know I like to give my 2 cents whenever possible, and I encourage you all to do the same. So
I would say you give us like 4 or 5 cents, probably more.
4 or 5 cents. I do what I can. I have ideas.
No, it's great. It's great, and we love that. Like we are so in this vacuum world, right? Of being in sometimes it's hard for us to see, from the outside looking in. And so I think those perspectives are incredibly valuable. So yeah, from a completely new user to a seasoned veteran, we love all the feedback coming in. That's the only way that we're going to make the product better. So. Yeah,
absolutely. The Firewire is here, who is, very skilled, not in Adobe Character Animator, but in amazing Twitch stuff. He's asking, what was CH codenamed while it was first being developed?
Yeah, so the codename was Animal, and basically, that was the idea. Is that I don't know actually the origins of that. I know that at a certain point it was called Beaker, like Beaker from Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker from the Muppets.
Yeah.
And so the first icon of the app, I think, was unofficially internally was a picture of Beaker going meep or something like that. And eventually, it did through Adobe branding and whatnot got streamlined into what we know today as Character Animator. But I mean, internally, a lot of times we just call it Character, and that's kind of the name that we've said all along. But yeah, the original code name was called Project Animal.
That makes other things make a lot more sense to me now. That's really cool to know. Yeah. All right. So Twitch and streaming and all these platforms are becoming, pretty huge. And like I was talking earlier about VTubers, I'm curious, like, do you think Adobe has any interest in like doing more with their Twitch channel, or is that something you've thought about just for outreach? I know I've seen you on Facebook and doing live streams occasionally. Because I think that could go over really well, and just sort of teaching people how to use this program. Because I see people using FaceRig and all these other programs, which are cool, but I really think Character Animator has a big up over those. And I'm just wondering if your team or Adobe has any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think Adobe does a lot of live streaming, but I think it's Adobe Live segment that they do, and they primarily run it on Behance and YouTube, I believe. They might also have a presence on Twitch. I don't remember if they do or not, but and I've hosted that show a few times and been on it a few times and done stuff with them. But yeah, I think there's always, more room for that sort of stuff. But I think it's, honestly, I think it's more in the hands of people like you, right? I think that we can only do so much. And, I think if we try to evangelize it, and it's just us doing it, then I don't know if you can really take our word for it. But when it's, actual, real people talking to you and saying, hey, like this is cool and check it out and this is what I'm using. I think that is that's some of the best we've gotten. But yeah, I think I live streaming is one of those things that it's always like on my to-do list, but it's always like towards the bottom because other things get prioritized above it. And it's like, oh, I would love to do like a weekly live stream or, character animator, cartoon chat where, coffee and characters or something like that, where you, for an hour, ask me your questions and come in and do that sort of thing. And I just haven't gotten to prioritize it yet. And then there's, other things that need more immediate attention. So I'm still hopeful that we could do some of that in the future, but it's a hope that we can do that. Cause I agree. I think it's one of the best ways to learn is to watch and do it live and get that kind of one-on-one feedback that you feel from that sort of stuff. And there's, that's a great new medium that I think we can take advantage of more than we currently are.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, we are all out here evangelizing, a character animator, and a few of us here have done some collaborative things along those lines, just trying to get our characters together and build a bigger presence and just talk about it more. And I think people have been receptive. I know I personally have made, I think, 8 puppets now for different streamers. So it's out there. It's just getting it a little bit more notice. So, oh yeah, the Firewire asks guest streaming on Adobe, and I think I've talked to some people about this before, because there is a Twitch channel that seems to have 30,000 followers, but no streams.
Interesting.
Which we thought was odd, but yeah. I know I've discussed this before, so I don't know. I know Adobe is a large organization and you're a small team, but that might be something to whisper in their ear occasionally and see how that goes over. Yeah,
I know some people. Maybe I'll send some emails or Slacks out and see what's going on with that.
Yeah. Dave, when can we save scenes and open them on other computers?
So, I mean, right now it's very cumbersome to do that, right? So you've got to, if you want to open it up on another computer, you basically have to export the whole CH project with the media folder and data folder and, zip that all up, throw it on a server somewhere and, do all of that stuff. And in the latest release that we just released a couple of weeks ago, 4.0, that has simplified things a little bit more, so you don't have as many supplemental files that can fail. And in error states, it'll work a little bit better as well, giving you dialogues about what went wrong. But it's still a pretty cumbersome process. Ideally, it would be something that's just one file. Like I wish that CH project file had everything inside of it, and you could just share that just like a Puppet file, right? So ideally, that's something that we'll keep working on and getting better. There's, we're taking, as you saw with that 4.0 update, we're taking baby steps in that direction because we do realize and recognize that that's something people want to do. And there's some really bad errors that can show up, and if you have all of these files syncing and then just one doesn't sync correctly on Dropbox or Google Drive or Creative Cloud or something like that, it can throw the whole thing off. So hopefully most of those will be a thing of the past with this latest update. But I think your point is incredibly valid, and I think we'll hopefully continue to move in that direction in the future.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, where Google Drive will just flag some of them as potential viruses, and then skip the upload. Which, I at least with what I do, I'm generally just packaging puppets as a puppet file, and that works really, really well.
Right.
But yeah. And Dave, Art Vandalay also says thank you. Has the pandemic affected Character Animator or the Character Animator team? Or were you all mostly remote already?
We've always been kind of a remote team. The base of Character Animator is actually in Seattle. So I would say the majority of the team is up there. That's where kind of a lot of the Character Animator people came off of the After Effects team. And that's where After Effects has always historically been. And so, that's kind of where the heart of the team is. But then there's several of us in the Bay Area. There's a guy in Minnesota. We have, a few people in some different locations. So I think we were okay with it. I think it was, and Adobe's always, never been a strict, you have to come into the office place. So we were all, plenty of us had, were able to work from home beforehand. And so luckily it's worked out. And I think honestly, we've been able to deal with it maybe better than others. I think, we were lucky that, that we did have a lot of these things, these video conferencing tools. We were already using those, and, the way we were deploying builds and things like that, we already had ways to do all that stuff at home. So, I think we were lucky, and we're able to do that.
Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I've seen a lot of this kind of technology booming during this time as well. I mean, has that affected sales of Character Animator or just Creative Cloud in general?
Yeah, honestly, I think I don't have exact numbers, but I know that during the pandemic, things just shot up everywhere across Adobe. I think a lot of people, at home, not having to commute or, to deal with or whatever, and having a little more free time, were able to, kind of explore a lot of creative pursuits and passions. Mm-hmm. And Adobe, plays a critical role in that. So I think whether it's, video editing or animation or music or, photography or what have you, I think everyone got a bump. All digital software and in general, I feel like got a bump from that sort of stuff. So we saw, I can just speak anecdotally from my, the YouTube channel exploded last year. I think I was at a much lower subscriber count at this time last year, and then I think it basically doubled over the past year, because so many people have been seeking out these tutorials and figuring it out. So I think we were lucky there, and it's been great. It's been great to have kind of this new audience coming in and using the product.
Yeah, that is awesome. I've seen so many projects posted that were just like, I finally had some time during this, or this was the way I was able to kill my boredom during the pandemic, was to sit down and create these passion projects.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Well, there's just a lot of appreciation in chat for you, and I know I don't want to keep you any longer because you're about done with your day, but I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And everybody here, if you're trying to learn or you want to know more about this software, you can visit OK Samurai here on YouTube, and of course, hang out here because I go through it constantly, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that I can answer, and those that I can't, I bug Dave and all those smart people over at Adobe, and hopefully they make me look good because I can come back with an answer. So, yeah.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for having me. I've a long time been an admirer of your work and all the great stuff you do. And I was happy to join. Thank you everyone for joining in the chat. It was great to answer some questions. And I'd like to, this has inspired me to want to do this type of thing more. So it's great to be able to, to talk to everyone and do it this way. And Ryan, you got your T-shirt, right? We sent that to you.
I got a beautiful T-shirt and a wonderful pillow, and I was very excited, and I showed it to everybody here. And yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah,
awesome. Glad you got it. Yeah. So we'll glad. Yeah, it's the least we could do for the evangelizing you've done for us on our behalf. So we appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I love the software. All right, Dave. I'm gonna let you go. Have a great day.
Man. Thank you. You too. Appreciate it.